You hear the news say inflation is only 3 or 4% this year. Manageable, they say. Under control. And then you go grocery shopping, fill up your car, and open your energy bill. And it feels like someone doubled the prices overnight. So which one is lying to you, the news or your own bank account? Here's the uncomfortable answer. Neither one is lying. They're just measuring completely different things. That national inflation number you keep hearing about is an average. It blends together thousands of products and services, from haircuts to washing machines to plane tickets, and spits out one single percentage. But you don't buy an average basket of goods. You buy groceries, gas, and rent, and those specific categories can be moving at a completely different speed than the number on the news. Let's look at what's actually happening underneath that average. While headline inflation sits around 3 to 4%, energy prices have been climbing far faster than that, sometimes double digits year over year. Gas at the pump, home heating, electricity bills, all outpacing the average by a wide margin. Shelter costs, meaning rent and the cost of housing, have also been running hotter than the headline number, often landing above 4% on their own. Groceries have cooled off somewhat compared to a couple years ago, but they're sitting on top of years of previous increases that never came back down. Prices didn't drop after they spiked. They just stopped rising as fast. Here's the part that makes this feel so personal. If your monthly budget is dominated by rent, gas, and groceries, which for most working households it absolutely is, you are disproportionately exposed to exactly the categories running hottest. Meanwhile, the average inflation number gets pulled down by things like electronics or used cars, categories that might be getting cheaper, but that you're not buying every single month. You're living inside the expensive slice of the pie chart, while the news reports on the whole pie. This is why two people can look at the exact same inflation report and have completely different reactions. Someone with a paid-off house, a stable energy bill, and disposable income left over for non-essentials might genuinely feel like prices are calm. Someone renting in a city, driving to work every day, and spending most of their paycheck on food and housing is living a very different economic reality, even though they're technically experiencing the same country's inflation rate. There's also a compounding effect nobody talks about enough. When prices spike hard for a year or two and then slow down to a normal pace, the news calls that a win. Inflation is cooling, they say. But cooling doesn't mean reversing. Prices that jumped 25% over a few years don't come back down just because the rate of increase slowed afterward. You're still paying the higher price, forever, on top of whatever comes next. The damage from the spike never actually goes away. It just stops getting worse as quickly. So if you've been wondering whether you're bad at budgeting or somehow missing some trick everyone else knows, stop wondering. Your feeling isn't wrong. You're not measuring the same thing the headline number measures, and your specific mix of expenses is very likely tilted toward exactly the categories rising the fastest. Understanding this won't lower your grocery bill tonight, but it might stop you from blaming yourself for a gap between the news and your life that was never really about you at all. If this helped explain that gap between the headlines and your actual budget, hit subscribe. Penny's got a lot more of these real numbers breakdowns coming.